I'm going to ask you, my first question is, okay, so the TPP has been in existence for a few years now, and we'd really like to hear your reflections on the evolution of its performance or its progress and how it's been functioning, with the idea that it can consolidate its quest to be the go-to place for addressing knowledge and implementation gaps. So, Bridget, would you like to start? We'd love to hear from you.
Thank you. Once again, I'm from the Alliance for Food Sovereignty in Africa. And I think my reflection is quite brief. And I relate it to my time and experience working with the agroecology and food sovereignty movements in Africa, which is close to 20 years. And I think two of the most compelling challenges that we've had in the agroecology movement, one is on the narrative, of course, which is about agroecology being, promoting traditional, backward practices, about drudgery, about, non-scalability. But also the second is around the evidence and the knowledge gap, The knowledge is there, but how are we compiling it? And the question of where is the evidence that agroecology is working? So for me, the TPP, I think in the few years it's been, in existence, it's doing quite a lot to put together this evidence. And I think for me, using the principle of subsidiarity, ensuring that it is not, defined and tied into a small box, but opening up this evidence and giving a lot of opportunities, especially for us who are in the social movements and policy advocacy. I think it has done a good job. And also being at the global level, I think creates a very great opportunity for agroecology, seeing that we can speak about agroecology from different parts of the world. So I think for me, briefly, that's what I can reflect. Yeah.
Who would like to go next? Albi.
Okay, I can go. Thank you. So this is the second annual forum of the TPP members. The TPP was created, as Emily said, in 2020, as you know, with the vision of Fergus Sinclair, Etienne Anzelin at that time, and then Philippe Vast, and then all the colleagues. And the idea was to mobilize research to address key knowledge and implementation gaps to support the agroecology transition. So the transition was very, very well described yesterday by the viability, when we had the presentation of the viability project. And we see there that the agroecological transition is really a shift in a new paradigm. So this is the second annual forum, and what I've heard and what I've seen since the 4 years, it's fantastic results. So you have plenty of projects aligned, integrated in the TPP. You have plenty of domain where you interact. And you had this fantastic advocacy period, a kind of inception period where advocacy was really important to settle on and to strengthen the TPP platform. And now I think it's time for concrete actions, time for multiply these concrete actions, because we still have to convince our decision makers. We saw in the previous presentations that agroecological transition is not yet an academic way of thinking, is not yet a policy decision way of thinking the future for food system. So we absolutely need to convince and to have more multiple, diverse, concrete actions. And TPP is the place where to do it now. Thank you.
Wonderful. Would you like to go, Marcela?
Okay, now better. No, thank you very much for the two questions. And I would like to reflect a little bit on, you say, on where we are with the TPP after this journey from 2020, and then where we can go now, if we want, as you say, to have the TPP as the place to go on agroecology, and especially on how to close that knowledge and implementation gap. So first of all, I would like to start by saying that, I mean, it's a big thanks also for the conveners and co-conveners of the TPP, because I mean, in 2020, we were not here, right? And we were not doing that. So it means like you guys are doing that. And I think we need to acknowledge that. And also to thanks for the great convening, because I mean, here we are now discussing the way forward. So thanks for that. It seems like there is progress in the TPP. And I think that's important. The other thing is that, I mean, in the context of the TPP, is that we also start co-designing in the CIR, the initiative in agroecology. And for those that were together with me designing that initiative, we know all the conversation that we had even inside the CG, right? That we have to do things differently, that we need to engage differently. It's not only doing participatory research, but it's also how we engage with the actors. So we have many conversations, and then we start trying to apply those new principles. And you heard also yesterday how we are trying to do that better. So it's a journey, and I think it's a process, and we are going in that direction, but still we can do it better. But it's because of this convening in the context of the TPP that we start also thinking in that way, which is super good. But now thinking in the future is, I will say that it's going to be important to start prioritizing where we can make better synergies. And we heard today many new ideas, but I think it would be good to prioritize 3 for the next year or for the next 2 years. And as I listened yesterday and today, I see there are 3 things where we can come together to try to do synergies, and also to try to define the way forward in terms of metrics. I think there are many efforts on metrics, how the TPP can help us to synergize that, and also to clarify to the audience outside what metrics are good for what. And we have to be careful that we are not also causing more confusion on that. We talk also over lunch about this with IFAD. So I think here is the stakeholders are. So now how we come together and start working on metrics. The second one is on engagement. Again, it's not only about doing participatory research, but it's in the way we are approaching the food system actors and how we engage in that co-creation. And that has implications in the way we operate the teams, right? And the projects. So, for example, in the CIR initiative, we invest a lot on how we deploy in a very different way the teams, how we really integrate the teams, how we work together and distribute roles with our partners. And still, I think we need to improve more that, but what we need to start thinking on what are those principles of engagement and how to do it in practice, because we are good saying what to do, what we desire, but how to do it in practice is not easy. So that would be my second topic for synergies, engagement. The first one was metrics. And the third one is exchange. In the initiative, we really had the privilege to be natural farming, visiting the natural farming program in India last year, for example. And the previous year, we were in Tunisia learning also many things that were there that probably are not famous in the world, but many things, very good things happening there. So I think that has a cost, but having the opportunity to visit other things that are happening on the ground that probably are not visible at the global level is really enriching, and also the partners benefiting from that exchange. So I think probably that could be something where we can build synergies to put resources together and start fostering more that exchange across different contexts and countries. So metrics, engagement, and exchange is something that I will start with if I will have to prioritize where to do more synergies. And the other thing is to avoid duplicities, right? When we are challenged to put new ideas for new projects, sometimes we tend to think that this is pretty new. But there are I mean, here are not the actors, and someone say we need to start inviting others that are doing also agroecology. So I think it will be good if we try to build whatever new project we want to pursue on things that are already going on, acknowledging that are people that we can learn from, instead of trying to start everything from zero, right? Case studies from zero. So how we build on current advances that are probably not in our radar, but the TPP, I think, now have the capacity to start reaching and identify those other initiatives. Thanks.
Thank you so much. Will you allow me to give the floor to our online panelists? Maybe Manfred, would you like to go? Or would you be ready to go?
Yes, thank you very much, and good afternoon. Am I audible? Can you hear and see me?
Yes, we can.
Yeah, okay, thank you very much. And thanks a lot for this opportunity. I couldn't follow all the presentations and deliberations today and yesterday, but part of it, so it gave me quite a good impression of what's going on. With regard to your question, I think that the backbone of the TPP is currently a list of very interesting and also very relevant, but quite loosely connected projects in the different domains of the TPP. So far, I think the TPP has done and achieved a lot in terms of knowledge sharing between the project, and I think today's event is a testimony of that. But it has only to a certain extent been able to synthesize and condense the gained knowledge and collectively share project insights with a larger audience. And I think to increase its relevance, it will be crucially important that the TPP is developing knowledge or contributing to knowledge briefs, synthesis paper, and policy briefs targeted to a specific audience. I know that TPP to a certain extent has already or is doing that, but I think more could be done. What I found very encouraging that TPP has recently managed to clarify its role vis-a-vis the Agroecology Coalition and to specify its role in the research, innovation, and education working group of the coalition. I see this contribution or the contribution of TPP predominantly through what I said before, knowledge briefs, synthesis papers, policy briefs, and policy papers. Now I'm speaking from the perspective of a development agency. I didn't introduce myself properly. I'm working at the Swiss Agency for Development and Cooperation, and we are giving some core funding to the TPP. For us, the question of the socio-economic viability of the agroecological food system transformation is one of the most relevant to answer. And I think there is still a large gap in understanding and assessing the socio-economic outcomes of agroecological approaches. Strikingly, I found the presentation of the viability project did not really respond to the actual research questions that they try to solve. I hope that the papers that come out will be much more conclusive and that this was just because they only got 10 minutes to present. But what we can already anticipate is that we need more and probably also more rigorous research on the socio-economic viability, some kind of a viability 2.0 project that I would suggest that capitalizes on the improved metrics that have been developed in the meantime. My last point is that I think the TPP has managed to bring the topic of agroecology into many national and international events, which is a very good achievement in itself. But so far, I think we have probably mainly preached to the already converted. And to a certain extent, we still lack a strategic approach to share views with the less like-minded stakeholders. And I think we should more thoroughly relate to others and specifically also build on the convening power of the agroecological of the coalition and also of the CIFOR to contribute to their events and make sure that we are in joint platforms together with them. That's all from my side. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Manfred, for these points. May I ask Laurent to give us his point? Thank you.
Yeah, thank you. You hear me? Okay. So just first, let me thank you for the opportunity to attend this great exchange, and also give the apologies from Marion Guillou, who could unfortunately not be with us this week. Well, I'm quite aligned with the things that my previous colleagues told. So just what I would say is that these today's show that there is undoubtedly tremendous progress in the TPP that has been made since the beginning in developing activities and projects. Okay, could be made sometimes better aligned, connected, so, but developing projects, and I think even more progress in connecting and aggregating projects aligned with the founding principles of the platform. And I really appreciated the extensive reflection that is conducted and that has been expressed in these 2 days on how to connect, participate to companion projects and platforms. And this is certainly an excellent pathway in saving time and efforts, and also share experience and make added value in confronting all these initiatives and confronting them. So I think this is really useful, what I saw here, to keep this exchange alive and further define, well, and refine how these initiatives complement each other for the benefit of all in the future. Well, concerning TPP perimeter of action, which is of course concentrated on research, implementation, connection, I really appreciated as well that this stimulating motto, how to make research differently, this means more inclusive, participatory, and so on, is still there, and is still continuing question. I think this is important to continue it. Certainly further seminar exchange, including stakeholders and donors, of course. To be efficient, we need money. We all know that. So to address the diverse research-provoking issues, and this kind of exchange and seminars are needed to tackle all these lots of questions that are raised. But probably also, and this has been evoked, so new forms of intervention that allow better collecting the voice of grassroots actors and really embark them into the design of future research agenda. And maybe this is still to push forward and promote. And of course, this is not easy, and the right way to raise these voices is a critical concern that we all have to address. As far as evaluating impacts or agroecological systems is concerned, we all know that a huge effort is made worldwide. And here in TPP, I was quite impressed by the large database of indicators and methods collected by the Metrics project, for instance. But there is still an open question on how to proceed for the next steps, and this has been discussed several times, and despite this huge collection, the observation still stands that for sure no one-size-fits-all method emerged, and there is probably none of them in reality. So which means that appraisal of agroecology is complex, multidimensional, and this process has to be carefully tailored to each local situation. And of course, to do that, it must be done also in a participatory way. The process to do that, and I love the term that has been pronounced, the epistemology to support that still needs to be improved. And I feel that this is a both crucial and exciting task, and in which the fantastic gathering of skills in the TPP could really bring novelty as far as this reflection is advanced. Well, there again, throughout the exchange with actors, we have also seen there is a huge demand of bringing evidence, and when it's behind this demand for evidence, it's evidence to support agroecology promotion, to support advocacy, but we have to be a bit careful here, as advocacy itself is not the mandate of TPP. So it's important to keep the right pace and balance, and it's not evident, as we all here are agroecology enthusiasts, of course. But this maybe mean that we do not have to concentrate our efforts only on cherry picking the comforting evidence and forget the difficulties, errors, things that do not work, the hindrances, and so on. Of course, we know that we do the job, and we do not spare our efforts to tackle the difficulties, which are in part research questions. But it's also important to have this component in mind and to communicate properly on this, and with caution, of course, but this is unavoidably something that we will have to deal with in our connection with policymakers if we want to embark them more into our process. And I will stop there. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Laurent. Points taken.
Sure, thank you. My experience with TPP was due to Frank Roy not being able to actually commit himself because of other issues and work to be part of TPP. So he asked me if I could, and I said, sure, why not? Knowing the list of the people who were working in getting TPP on, I said, well, this will be an honor to interact with them. And the first impression I had was that this organization is opening up to different voices. In my case, for being indigenous, I felt good for being able to collaborate, participate with agroecology. But there is another reason also. I was a student back in the mid-70s in Mexico when agroecology actually started by studying the ecological basis of traditional agriculture, and Tabasco is also Maya. And seeing from the beginning the agroecology, how it started to where it is now, it's I don't have enough words to describe how exciting it is, and also opening visions for how could it be even in the future. Back in the 70s, we had no idea that social aspects, economical aspects, community aspects, political aspects, blah, blah, had to do with agroecology. Now we know that. And along this period of time, FAO, for instance, developed the 10 elements of agroecology from which the TAPE methodology is based, and then the 13 principles of agroecology. And then we've seen different approaches to food production, organic agriculture, permaculture, and then regenerative agriculture and agroecology. And there was a point in which we had some tension. There are actually some papers are out saying that regenerative agriculture, at least from the beginning, was kind of greenwashing, was kind of co-opting agroecology. And on the other hand, also, some papers that claim themselves being agroecology are also part of another paper that talks about junk agroecology. So, that's what it is. So when the wisdom of the people, and I say many of them from TPP, were able to create the 13 principles of agroecology and having it as a point of reference to many other areas related to food production, different than Green Revolution, then a lot of things started to happen in different ways. Regenerative agriculture now is trying to be more agroecological, and agroecology now is open to understand how regenerative agriculture works and how it can be incorporated in different phases in the transformation of food systems. But the other thing is that from these years of experience, one of the courses I teach at my university is epistemology. It's intercultural epistemology, and we study processes in which scientific discipline transforms into science, into a scientific field, not just discipline. And some of you probably know these processes, and agroecology is going beyond those processes. It challenges ourselves, intellectually speaking, because of the different aspects related to food production. We need to move beyond unidisciplinary thinking, beyond multidisciplinary thinking, and go into transdisciplinary thinking. But we do not have enough epistemology to actually know how to do that well enough. And we have different international organizations that have had problems because working in a multidisciplinary manner also demands a different type of epistemology. And it wasn't until they were able to figure out how to work in a multidisciplinary way that makes sense, then they were able to have these impacts. But the challenge is there. So from the experience I have participating in TIP, I can say two different things. One is that it pushed me as an indigenous scientist to work harder in understanding how the Yucatec Maya food systems work and what is the thinking behind those systems that explain the sustainability that my people has had for thousands of years, producing food enough for the population. There's got to be something good in it, right? We know now about intercultural leadership. There is research on it. We know now about intercultural business. There is research on it. We know now about how the Yucatec Maya people and other indigenous peoples in America learn. We know now how is the transition from learning to creating knowledge within our own culture. So we're building the foundation from our end to construct a bridge with other cultures to co-create. That's one area. And I see also science moving fast in new approaches, new methodologies, new results, but new challenges as well. And we're not catching up with that speed that science has. So it makes me think that another aspect, not only co-creation is important, but it also training people with this different mindset that agroecology requires. We have very few schools in the world that can actually provide this type of education that agroecology demands. And I think that's something that we can think about and work on it. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Francisco, for your insights.
Yes, thank you.
Thank you, Esther.
And good afternoon once again. So AFA joined the TPP in its first year. It was during the UN Food System Summit process. And when we joined, what we wanted was really just to highlight agroecology. And we thought that TPP was all research institutions, but we could start from there because agroecology needs us more information to apply it at the farm level, especially during the transition phase. And then the TPP gave birth, or facilitated or catalyzed the formation of Agroecology Coalition, and which was established in, I think, 2022. And then so with the Agroecology Coalition and with the TPP in AFA, we kind of questioned ourselves. So what are we doing with these two coalitions? It's taking our time, no? It's taking our time, and you're talking with big agriculture research institutions. You don't know how to enter or how to partner with this, like that. So it was very good that we came here. And we got to know what the initiatives of the TPP are doing. We got to see our logo there in the OMV initiative, because that is where we also became active in the TPP work. No? So basically now we see the synergy. Thank you, Oliver, for really expressing that, the synergy between the Agroecology Coalition and the AE-TPP. So I think we know how to navigate also in these two coalitions, and also us knowing the kind of synergies that we can do with this in these two institutions. But for both TPP and AE Coalition, I think at the end of the day, we always say this, at the end of the day, what do you want to achieve? And at the end of the day, we would like, ideally, every farmer, every forest dweller, every fisher, every forester, every pastoralist to do agroecology in their context. Okay. TPP can help provide the knowledge, okay, the research, so that we can know how to do it. And AE Coalition maybe can provide also the connection so that we could upscale the knowledge that we learned. So that's how we do it. And we look forward to really strong collaboration and partnership, the inclusion aspect now with the users on the ground of the research and with those who are also providing the research and the information. And just what we want to say is that farmers, producers are really in a very distinct condition, because we are victim, we are also solution providers. We have the knowledge, but we also need knowledge. So that is where the kind of synergy, the kind of partnership lies in a very kind, in a partnership based on trust, mutual respect, and value of what we each one bring to the table. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you very much to all the steering committee members for the lauding some of laudable things that the TPP has done, but also key challenges that remain, of course, in synergies, in how we engage with different actors, both producers, but also on the policy arena. So we thank you very much for your constructive inputs. Just one very quick answer from you on one question, very quickly. So if there was one thing that you particularly liked in this forum meeting and that you would like to keep it in the next forum meeting, what would it be? So very quickly, if everyone can just give me one idea, this I liked and I want to see in 2024. We can go like that.
Sure. Well, how to methodologically speaking, be efficient in transdisciplinary thinking.
Wonderful.
Yeah, something I will keep for the next one is this knowledge sharing that we have been doing. And probably for the next one, we can do a deep dive on some selected topics like this one, but there could be other ones.
Wonderful. Thank you.
Thank you. Maybe I will be a little bit longer, but I just want to make the analogy between the cooking pot that you have at the beginning of the TPP. If you remember, when we have this cooking pot on the presentation. And I think that today we have to reach the whole meal. You know, I'm French, and in France we like a whole meal with starter, main course, and dessert. And what I see during these 2 days is lots of main courses, lots of big projects, lots of, but what I would like to do is to work on the starter and to work on the dessert. It means that during starter, we will talking about ingredients like epistemology. So we need to have more actions on how we do inception phase for project and how we do it together with the farmers, with the processes, with all the actors. So maybe before entering into a project, take time to talk together and to see where the bottlenecks are, and then we build the product. And then dessert, it means after the project, what are the implementation? What does science implement? What are the impact? And so also concentrate on the implementation phase. So dessert, starter and dessert next time. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Alisa.
For us, we are appreciated the knowledge sharing, although maybe there can be some methodologies so that it will not be very long and some more interactive. Yeah? And then also what we like is this brainstorming and maybe coming together in some concrete possible projects that we could collaborate together.
Wonderful.
Yeah, I think for me, the short time I've been in the TPP, but also from this forum, what I'd like and what I've loved is the inclusion and diversity. It shows the diversity of agroecology, the inclusion and diversity in the topics, the research created, the participants. So for me, I would love to see that moving forward.
Wonderful. And now over to Manfred. Would you like to?
Yes, just one point. First of all, I really appreciated being part of this today and also yesterday, if only online. And I would like to thank the organizers for a very interesting program that you have put together. I think what struck me is really this multi-stakeholder platform that we are now as the TPP. And what I would really like to keep is in this annual member forum is this spirit of co-creation, which we have seen especially today in the co-creation of proposals, and I think we could probably also extend it in the co-creation of knowledge products or something in another TPP meeting. But I think as agroecology is so much about co-creation, that's for me the most crucial part to retain in the members forum. Thank you.
Thank you, Manfred. Laurent?
Yeah, maybe in the same spirit, I really appreciated the place given to professional, grassroots, private sector, farmers, organizations, expression and feedback, and this is highly valuable. And maybe if I can I've just captured an intervention which tells me that this is really important to hear these voices. And the intervention was something like, please, once your research is done, your papers are published, do not forget to give feedback to the farmers and translate this into usable knowledge and advice. So, of course, this is a fair demand. But beyond that, you maybe notice that the expression was of your research instead of our research. And maybe this translates the road ahead to embed really farmers and stakeholders in research design and finally do research differently.
Thank you very much. Thank you. So a warm hand of applause to our steering committee members. Thank you very much for your insights. I'm sure they will be very useful taking this forward. I just want to give a last word to the two co-conveners. And can I call Bernard? Okay. Thank you, Bernard.
Very fast. I think many things have already been said by the steering committee members. And so some of what I say will echo what you said. First thing is, research is not the reserved domain of professional researchers. What you just said about our research, I think we should take this even further than what we have started to make sure we don't have, so you remember the first day we say, who is researchers? And so, one point. Second, this bridging the local to global. It was said in many different ways. And I think we have to find really these concrete modalities to do this. And we should recognize and make use that as we go local, the context becomes so important. So how to make use of this diversity of context as a way also of enriching the global. So not losing the context when you go to the global. Because we want to do this bridging between local and global, membership and diversity of membership becomes very important. Here we have some diversity, not very much. Geographic diversity, not very much. I consider myself a Latino. We are not many Latinos. Is it something we can bring to make sure that this diversity? Then we say private sector. We didn't have many private sector people here. Farmers organization, fortunately, we have a strong voice with us, but there could be more. So this diversity, how we manage, is it in these events? Is it in other forums? Is it in other ways? Is it by having more localized exchanges, events. See, I need my glasses. And then the last thing is we talked about synergies. If you listen about emerging projects, there are already clear synergies between what different people have come up with in concept notes. So let's not reproduce the silo mode by developing different projects. If we already see synergies, you say synergies or synergies? Synergies. So I think we see this need, we see it emerging, and we should work on it. And I will stop here. For me, it was a very big learning experience because I came here as a new co-convener. I am still learning. I'm still not sure where I fit, but thank you very much for helping me discover the TPP.
Okay, folks. Well, the first thing is that Bernard is a disruptive force that's joined the co-convening of TPP. And that's one of the reasons that this forum is a huge improvement on the last one that we had in Montpellier. It's been more dynamic, more diverse, and more interactive. And your influence, Bernard, has been you've been pushing for that and been important. No, but I think it's important, and so it's great having you on board, and I hope that we will continue to build on that as we go forward. The diversity issue is a really important one, and I think what we're learning is that we need a diversity of mechanisms. It isn't that the annual forum is going to be able to do all of our local global connectivity. We're going to need fora where people are comfortable, where farmers are comfortable, and we need to have a way of communicating between these more localized and more globalized fora. So there really is a genuine two-way exchange. And I think we got lots of ideas about how to do that and how to do that better and how to build it into the way that the TPP works and the way that projects work. Second thing I'd just like to say is I'm amazed that this forum has actually produced some really tangible outputs. Getting people together has meant we've now got some projects, really concrete project ideas that we can start working on. And a whole set of recommendations about how we can work differently in the forum. And that is absolutely magnificent. And you should all be proud of yourselves for doing that. Of course, we need to take all of this on and do a lot more with it in order to make it happen. But a really fantastic set of outputs. Last thing that I'd like to say is that the TPP is a platform. Yeah. And so it's all of us, it's ours, all of ours. And we need to make sure that people participate and say what you want, and we try to make it happen. Obviously, we need to be as constructive as we can. So it's the ideas about how can we do things better? How do we improve that really make it go from one point to another? And what I really heard in the comments of the panel and what's important about the TPP is it is evidence-based. And I think that the evidence that we're producing is beginning and we're seen as a broker of solid evidence, that we're bringing that into the agroecological space. I think it's also that helps us to get beyond polarization and looking and discussing and debating and moving things on, which is essential if food transformation is going to happen. And food system transformation has to happen urgently because of the global challenges that we're facing. And so that means that this mainstreaming is really important. That's going to be a huge challenge for us, but the evidence base and trying to get beyond polarization is what will get us into that mainstream position. And with that, I'd like to thank everybody and hand back to the facilitator.